Hi, I'm Anita. Today I'm going to talk about my selected video. I chose this video from Webcast Berkeley, and it's one of the International Environmental Law courses from Sammy Payne. The reason that I chose this video is because I'm going to study for my master's degree in environmental law, and I think this lecture is quite related to my academic field. And the first 20 minutes of this lecture is the introduction that the professor gave to her students. The professor is speaking at a low pace, but I think it's still hard for us to understand it. I think the reason is that there are several academic words as well as academic issues talked in this lecture. Then I will summarize the main idea of this lecture, since it's an introduction, and I'll talk about several points. The first thing that the professor introduces herself. She is the director of the Global Commons projects, as well as the associate director at the Environmental Law Research Center at the law school. And the professor mentioned that in her class, students will need to practice more instead of just learning about the theories, having a good idea, and as well as she also said this course is not an abstraction of something. It needs students to go out and work for practice, and she mentioned that they will also collaborate with many organizations such as the NGOs and practitioners, and as well as the governments. And she used her own experience to illustrate that. It's the extremely good fortune that she mentioned. She was really lucky to spend 6 years to work with the United Nations. She also mentioned that in her class, the students are not just law school students or lawyers. There are still many many students from other majors, such as maybe other technology experts. And she said this is really a good thing, since working together with both maybe wonderful scientists and technology experts, as well as the lawyers, can help all the students understand their course much better and deeper, since the international environmental law is not just cannot just be focused on the law field. It combines many other aspects. And then he also talked about how to use this international environmental law material if a lawyer is practicing it. He used an example of she used an example of her colleague. That colleague is a U.S. lawyer, but that lawyer is practicing environmental law as to be a representative of an Indian Indian tribes, and she then used a PowerPoint to give a brief overview for her class. The first thing she mentioned is about the treaties The name of it is International Tropical Timber Agreement. This agreement is used to prohibit the transaction and exports of the ivories from elephants in order to help the recovery of the elephant. And the second, he talks about the 1991 Gulf Gun War, to talk about every country's responsibility according to the environmental issues. And she also talked about the climate change, which she also has a course which is called climate change. And she also mentioned that she hopes her students finally will be familiar with some important and common environmental law vocabulary, and the main themes about this course, about this law course, as well as some key treaties, some key agreements. He then talks about the class topics. And during these topics, I'm interested in the hard law and the soft law, and which I will going to talk about it later. And the professor also stressed that students had better to more other knowledge from other majors in order to get deeper understanding about her environmental law class. And she also talked about her students, about the textbooks that she chose. She chose that red thick textbook as the textbooks is because this textbook contains many aspects of one issue, which helps the students to understand many aspects of one issue more conveniently. She also said, last but not least, she also said students can send her an email in order to make an appointment with her. Just as I said, I'm quite interested in this topic, in these two things about the hard law and the soft law. Hard law is a kind of traditional law. It's binding law. But soft law is non-binding law. Binding means, binding means people must do something, must obey something. But non-binding seems quite strange to a law, since what I always think about law is law cannot be non-binding. But the fact is there are several agreements, several treaties that are non-binding. And in my university, I both had the environmental law class as well as the international law class. In both the class, we have encountered many agreements which are non-binding, and our teacher told us that it's because of the large scale and the harsh issue of these two laws, and there are much fewer people or organizations or countries curious about these issues, and all those things contributes to one result, is that this kind of ridiculous non-binding environmental or other international treaties have come out. And the reason that, and these two kind of law always refers to the subject, which are our worldwide government, our worldwide organizations or governments. All these subjects are really powerful and they have their own interest, so they always don't want to obey some right rules to prohibit gaining their interest. And however, there are still many efforts to be made to improve the enforcement of these agreements. And I think, although I'm just only a student at a law school, I think I still need to contribute myself to all these stuffs to make all these agreements to be binding instead of non-binding, to make a better world for us. Thank you.
Do you have questions?